Good evening, and from Torrey Gymnasium in Washington, Illinois, it's a rivalry as old as time itself, or so it seems. The Washington Panthers come into this rivalry matchup at 2-2. The Metamora Redbirds, also a good start to the season as well at 3-2. Alongside John Camosa, welcome to the broadcast, everybody. I'm Jonathan Michael, ready to bring you tonight's coverage. And John, Washington, Metamora, it's a packed house in Torrey Gymnasium. What else is there to say?
Yeah, I think Metamora head coach Danny Greaves said it best, John. Throw the records out the door. This is Washington and Metamora. Between him and Washington head coach Eric Schumerhorn, you don't really have to tell your guys much more. This is a big rival game in the Mid-Illini Conference. Both teams pumped up and ready to go.
Lots of good players that we are very accustomed to seeing on both sides of the ball. We'll take a look at both of them now, John. Our key players for tonight: Tyson Swanson on Metamora, Jake Stewart for Washington.
Yeah, Tyson Swanson for Metamora. After the departure of Zach Schroeder last year due to graduation, almost like that quiet leader on the team. Not as vocal as Schroeder, but a guy that really makes his presence known on the court, and so many other threats around Tyson Swanson to work with at the guard position. For Jake Stewart, got to pick up where you left off at the Kevin Brown Memorial Tournament of Champions a few weeks ago. Jake Stewart, really good three-point shooter. That's where Washington's got to find their footing.
Certainly, and John, you talk about the size differential between this team. Washington, they're not a very big team this year at all. They have Braden Vanderheit down there at 4. He provides a little bit of size, but nowhere near the amount of that Metamora or some other teams have, with Ethan Kaiser and 6'8" forward Luke Hopp as well. So I know that's something that we definitely had our eye on tonight.
Yeah, I think so, with Washington's tallest players in that starting rotation standing at just 6'3" between Jamari White and Braden Vanderheit. And if Washington comes out here and plays a man-to-man, which we've seen in years past, these matchups are going to be a big factor tonight, but it should be an exciting game. Anytime it's Washington Metamora, it's always get your popcorn ready.
Certainly interesting, John. We talked with Eric Schumerhorn, the head coach of Washington, about his game plan for this game despite being outsized. And we said, hey, we assume we were probably going to play zone tonight, right, against this bigger team. He said, no, we're playing 32 minutes of man. How about that? Take a look at the keys to the game tonight, though. For Metamora, John, starting up, they got to get their hands up, and they want to get out in transition as well.
Yeah, in Metamora and Washington, it's going to be the same thing with both of these teams in a big rival game. Winning that rebounding battle, they both want to get out and run, and Metamora pushing that tempo. There were some things that Danny Greaves said they could learn on from last week, or I should say, over the weekend against Lincoln Park, and that was keep your foot on the gas. That was a game they were up big in the first quarter, let the game kind of come back to Lincoln Park out of Chicago, and he said that's where we got to fix things, and tonight they're trying to show that.
Certainly, and for Washington, talk about their size a little bit as well, but we talked also about Tyson Swanson, but they have got to keep Ethan Kaiser cool, and we're not talking about the alternative band here, but they got to be glass animals.
Yeah, that has to be something for Washington, especially if they go to this man-to-man look tonight. They're facing a bigger team. Kaiser, not just a really good three-point shooter, he likes to go inside out. He can get in the post. So for Washington, banging on the boards tonight and controlling that perimeter in the paint is going to be big.
Certainly, it's going to be a great one here at Torrey Gymnasium. We'll take a quick break here for our sponsors. Come back with starting lineups and tip-off here from Washington.
There's a lot of talk about big corners, big dealers, big inventory, and big lots. At Bob Grimm Chevrolet Morton, we believe the biggest point is being missed: the buyer.
We never got any surprises. When they told us a price, that's what it was. That's why I kept coming back. We just always enjoyed the way they treated us. They truly do it the Bob Grimm way, which is they treat the customer like they want to be treated.
Visit GrimmChevy.com and drive away your new vehicle your way. That's the Bob Grimm way.
Starting lineups for tonight's game. You just saw them announced for Washington. They will roll with Jake Stewart, Micah Brewer, Landon Patterson, Jamari White in the circle, and Braden Vanderheit. Metamora, Ethan Kaiser, Tyler Mason, Matthew Zobrist, Tyson Swanson, and Drew Tucker. And the Redbirds win the tip, and we are underway in Washington.
See how Metamora tries to come out and control this tempo early. Gives the ball back to Washington. Chance for the Panthers to try to start it off.
Big momentum swing there. Early in the game, John, I should say, the turnovers, stuff like that, that'll really get your bench hyped up. It'll get your student section hyped up, both of which are filled tonight. Energy will be palpable here. Stewart, deep three, no good. And Kaiser clears the boards for Metamora. It's something to watch for tonight. Danny Greaves told us that Washington, they shoot about 58% of their shots for threes, and then if they don't get them, they just go get the offensive rebound.
And for Washington, John, we saw that in the TOC. They hit a lot of threes, but those games were won with that hard-nosed defense. They're going to want to come out and show that tonight as we go back and forth to start.
Zobrist boxes out Patterson there, got the advantage, and it will go with the Redbirds here. Down here on the edge, that was Tyson Swanson. Excuse me, I looked away for a second there. John wanted to correct that. Caleb Patterson, I should say, for Washington, and I was thinking of Landon Shelton as well. We'll see a little bit of him. Played well in Washington's TOC finale against Coral Glades. Now here's Vanderheit around the perimeter, and we'll get a whistle here. And it looks like that will be an offensive foul, John. I didn't see the call there.
Yeah, going back to Metamora, and John, we touched on this so many times throughout the TOC especially, but in a game like this, big game, turnovers are key. Can't let them hurt you down the stretch.
Also, a good start is key as well. That's what Metamora got out to against Lincoln Park. Although they faltered a little bit down the stretch. Again, that game played on Saturday. Metamora did end up winning by, I don't know the final score, I believe it was about 11 or 12-point margin.
Yeah, they pulled away late. Lincoln Park got back into the game. Metamora able to separate. And like we said, John, trying to find some of those flaws and fix going into tonight's game.
Patterson drives in. Vanderheit on the floor, and that one will go Metamora's way.
You can see that pressure early that Metamora is applying.
Really is, and trying to make Washington feel like the visitors in their own gym. Kaiser sidesteps the three, is good. Ethan Kaiser putting on the moves from behind the arc. And the Redbirds, 5-0 lead early on.
Nice head fake there, sidestep from Kaiser, able to bury it. And that's what we talked about in that man-to-man set. Washington has to put pressure on the big man.
And Metamora continues to put pressure on there. That will be an offensive foul there on Jake Stewart of Washington. So the Panthers trying to get an offensive rhythm here, and so far have not been able to do so. Offensive fouls and turnovers hurting them so far.
They're trying to find their footing, and this is a Metamora team you don't want to give too much separation to. Redbirds are looking for that separation now.
Kaiser gets wide open in the mid-range and goes in for a floater. And that man-to-man defense for Washington so far still hasn't been able to stop Kaiser yet. Although still lots of time to play in this one.
Putting a lot of pressure on those shooters around the perimeter early, Metamora's defense.
Here's Brewer kicking out to Vanderheit. Washington still looking for their first bucket of the game, nearly halfway through the first half, or first quarter rather, and that one will be offensive. Vanderheit draws a perfect charge there. He went flying back.
And that's another thing that Coach Danny Greaves mentioned John, in Saturday's games, a lot of players went into foul trouble early into that game, and Washington, a team that likes to draw that contact and take charges, that's going to be something that's going to be key for the Panthers.
Got to get something going on. That charge could potentially be it. Substitution for Washington. Number 34, Bernie Winnie comes in the game. He's bringing the ball up now for the Panthers. Working on Matthew Zobrist for the Redbirds, number 5 in black.
And I think that's key. John, Washington, a little bit more undersized than Metamora, but they're going to go that man-to-man all game. Got to get those guys in and out, so that's Eric Schumorn electing to go to the subs early.
Nice drive along the baseline there for Winnie, and looks like he found, that was the Washington freshman, Johnson, I believe. James Johnson, the 6'4 freshman, who Eric Shermerhorn said we got lots of playing time for him this year. Here's Stewart on the perimeter for the Washington, still looking for their first bucket. And Kaiser hounds Johnson in the corner.
Washington trying to look for that shot, trying to get open, space the floor, but that defensive pressure from the man-to-man, look at Metamora really putting it on early.
It's Brewer with it now. Again, remember, there's no shot clock, something that Washington's still getting used to, and Brewer 6-3 for the Panthers, and they are on the board over halfway into the first quarter here. A big three there from the senior guard.
Washington staying patient on that possession, then able to find their shot. Brewer creates his own.
That will be another foul there on Jake Stewart. That will be his second. Certainly not what you want to see for Washington. 2 fouls on your starting point guard. 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter as Patterson will check back in and Stewart will get a breather.
And you want to keep Stewart out of that foul trouble. Has to take a seat early. It's that next man up mentality.
Zobrist 3 is no good. Offensive board. Tyson Swanson, he says he's too little. You saw him put his hand down. Metamora trying to make a statement early on, and so far they are. When he kicks it over to Brewer, cross-court pass to Patterson. Good ball movement there, and James Johnson meet Ethan Kaiser. Panthers still retain possession though. Winnie, the 3, no good. That one came close. Swanson over to Kaiser. The triple draws iron. And a chance now for Washington. And that one looked like it may have been deflected. Patterson was either out of rhythm or it got deflected. That ball hit nothing, but either way, Washington still struggling to find an identity on offense, and it doesn't matter who they have on the floor right now. I mean, lots of guys from the bench getting minutes early on. And
you can see Metamora really going with that defensive pressure, kind of throwing Washington out of their rhythm. Here, trying to find something. Metamora is spacing the floor, getting a lot of those clean looks, just haven't had them all fall.
Here's Kaiser now with Patterson on him, drives baseline, finds Zobrist. That one went off of its shoe. And another foul on Washington. That will go on Patterson and be the team's 4th. Metamora has just 2 fouls over on their end. Inbound from Mason goes to Swanson, working on Vanderheit, throws out a shoulder, turns around, and it's good. And Metamora's lead is now 8. Here's a deep 3. And that was Javon White. Took me a second to get the name there, but Good bucket from deep. Washington needed that one.
And good response there from White. And John, we talked about this before the game. And with Washington being a little bit more undersized than Metamora, some of these early fouls are coming into play, trying to body them up man-to-man. That sends Metamora to the line.
It's been a fast-paced first half, I must say. Seems like it's flowing along. Kaiser's first free throw hits the front iron, much to the happiness of the Orange Crush, the Washington student section. It's camo night, it looks like. For Metamora, it's looking like blackout. They're dressed in black hoodies and black pants. Now here's Brewer with it for Washington, whose both of their buckets came from behind the arc. Trying to work on Tucker, and that one pass almost got taken away, but instead Kaiser will commit the foul.
Yeah, and that's where Washington likes to play their offense, space in that half court, trying to look for threes. Haven't really been able to get inside right now with that size. As you can see, Luke Hopp comes in for Metamora, adding more size down low in the post.
Luke Hopp is the tallest player on this Metamora Redbirds team. He's earned a lot more playing time this year, and certainly step up when Kaiser's on the bench, especially now when he has 2 fouls, by the way. So Jake Stewart and Ethan Kaiser, 2 big names. Yeah, both are on the bench with a pair of fouls right now. Under a minute to play here now at Torrey Gymnasium. Nice crowd on hand here in Washington, as many would expect. Swanson, good crossover from Mason, goes up with it and gets fouled. How about the moves there from Tyler Mason, who has looked really good at the start of the year.
And only 6'1", Tyler Mason kind of springboards inside there, able to go up, draw the contact, and get to the line.
Already 17 fouls on Washington. I think Metamora knows that they're the bigger team, and they have a size advantage. Well, the first one, no good. Vanderheit checks back in for Javon White on Washington. Second one is up and good. And that will make it 13-6. Washington could cut it to 4. And they can also hold for the last shot if they please as well. Winnie driving in the post. Here's White, a corner 3, it's good!
It's a big shot that Washington needed. Patient possession, able to find a wide open Jamari White.
He looked right at the Metamora student section and said, boom, right in their face. That's a huge shot for Washington. Now on the other end is Mason. Tyler Mason for Metamora, the answer. And that is where we'll end the first quarter. 16-9, Metamora leads. Threes falling in all over the place.
And that was a really big three by Jamari White, but how about Mason able to respond, swing the momentum back to the Redbirds.
It's been a great first quarter here in Washington. Metamora will lead. We'll take a quick break, come right back. You've been watching Clutch Sports Media.
Do you see the world the way I do? My mom says I play too many video games, but what she doesn't know is that I'm actually making more money than she is as a YouTuber.
Lacey, do you know why there's a new car in the driveway with a bow on it?
You're welcome, Mom. At OSF Healthcare Children's Hospital of Illinois, they see the world the way I do. They put kids first, with care designed just for me.
Welcome back to Washington. We're about ready to get the second quarter underway in this storied rivalry matchup. John, we've seen a lot of great games between the Redbirds and the Panthers. Last year, we saw Jake Stewart hit a huge three right about near the Panthers' over there on the far side. What a game that was. I mean, really there's not much I can remember from the game other than that shot because it was so big.
Yeah, it was a huge one. You got to think Metamora remembers that. You know, at any time we've seen back and forth great rival games between the Redbirds and Panthers, and tonight Washington trying to find an answer, but right now Metamora, that early momentum in the first.
If I'm not mistaken, that loss was the last loss that Metamora suffered before they went on a huge win streak, ultimately losing to Sacred Heart Griffin in the 3A state title game. I know Metamora fans don't want to remember that, as Jamari White gets fouled on the baseline. And he'll head to the free throw line, but Washington, they are still trying to find a way to get back in it. Three ball has been friendly for them so far. And in fact, that's the first point tonight on the White free throw. That has not been a three.
Free throws also crucial in a game like this. A lot of fouls being drawn early. Every point counts, you'd say, in a Metamora-Washington rival.
Certainly. You don't want to be going to bed at night kicking yourself wondering, well, I wonder if I would have made that free throw or made that layup, giving my team the win. Drew Tucker drives in for Metamora and gets fouled.
Stewart back into that lineup now, John, with those two early fouls. Got to be careful out there. That's a key player for the Panthers that we touched on.
Two fouls on Jake Stewart, and on Metamora's side, Ethan Kaiser with two fouls. He's still on the bench, and Luke Hopp getting some minutes at forward. .34 in the game for Metamora. I don't see 34 on the roster that we have in front of us right now. It is actually the Tournament of Champions roster. But we'll see who that is eventually on the floor for the Redbirds. And here goes Luke Hopp right down Broadway and extends the Redbird lead to 9. Nick Walker, number 34 for Metamora. Now here's Vanderheit, no good. And rebound is grabbed by Walker.
Metamora looking to push that tempo.
That one no good from Drew Tucker. Now Washington the other way. And here's White, a three. That one no good. Washington still hasn't gotten in the paint much. How about that shot? And Eric Schermerhorn will call a timeout for Washington. His Panthers trail by 11, and Metamora been playing bully ball with him so far. Getting lots of points down in the paint.
Yeah, and I think, John, you touched on that. They know they have the size advantage. Metamora's really making sure they're getting to the post, drawing contact inside. And that's going to kind of be their key to the game tonight, as you'd say, using that size to their advantage, and it certainly paid off here with 22 points on the board early in the second.
Washington still in this game, though. If they can get a couple more threes to fall, it could certainly help, but eventually you got to think that you got to do something besides shoot threes, because unless you're maybe Stephen Curry or something, really a strategy that would be tough to win some ball games in. Now here's Stewart on the edge, trying to find something working down in the paint. Now here's Javon White, crashes the glass, and he got fouled on the way up. A nice effort there to try and get to the line there for the sophomore.
Really good effort there from White, and that's what you got to do. Look for those opportunities to get inside. He does just that, draws contact, able to get to the line. Make them foul, you'd say.
Certainly, and Washington will definitely try and get to the line as much as they can. Got to find some points other than three-pointers somehow. His first one from White was no good. And number 2 is long off the hand, but it got the shooter's bounce. How about that one? That one looked like it was headed straight for the backboard.
Friendly roll.
Gets the Washington deficit back down to 10 as the Redbirds working around the outside. Mason finds a great cut. Luke Hopp, and he missed it. Luke Hopp had it right there from Metamora. Just went up with it a little bit too quick, and down on the other end. An offensive foul there for Washington.
That's how you make up for that missed basket underneath. Go on the opposite end, take the charge, get it right back in your possession.
Here's Zobrist for Metamora. Plays catch there with Mason. Fade away from the free throw line. A pretty shot there. And Metamora continuing to build a impressive first half lead. And Zobrist fouls Brewer there. That is the 6th team foul on Metamora. So Washington not headed to the free throw line yet. As James Johnson, the freshman, checks back in for Braden Vanderheit. Johnson, the freshman, with it now. Seen a lot more underclassmen play big roles for Washington in this year, John. Obviously, team that lost a lot of players to graduation, like Tyler Bass and Braden Vanderheit, Isaac Mapson, Drew Lewis, all those guys. And, eventually you got to get the younger guys in there somehow.
Yeah, we saw that a lot throughout the TOC. Coach Eric Shumorn says they got about 10 or 11 guys that could come in and night out and get you points and play good defense. And you got to keep those legs fresh in your starting rotation. That's what they've been doing early, going to the bench, playing those underclassmen.
3 in the corner is good. Drew Tucker. And the lead is now 15. Not often in these games, John, you see a lead as big as this in the first half. See what Washington has in the bag, though. If history is any indicator, they will claw their way back into this one eventually. Although they need to get going now. White, handoff there to Winnie, over to Patterson and back to White. Drives in and no good on the driving attempt. Now here comes Hop, finds Tucker, sets, and it's good. And Eric Schermerhorn is not happy, but Metamora is. 29-12, they lead halfway through the second quarter.
Metamora, all the momentum right now, and they're using that size to their advantage, winning the rebounding battle, pushing the tempo.
$17-point lead here in Torrey Gymnasium. John, I really don't know the last time or if you're going to see this at all in any Metamora-Washington rivalry game. I know there's still lots of time to play, but usually this game is neck and neck all throughout, and Metamora has laid the hammer down here in the first quarter, stymieing the Panthers on defense, finding good looks and converting them on the other end. If you're Washington, what do you think you got to do in this situation?
They're just not allowing them anything inside.
Oh,
but that'll work for
Jamari White. Stared down Luke Hop on his head. That'll get it going.
Had the students jumping out of the bleachers there on the Washington side.
Jamari White, not a largely tall player, but he can definitely play above the rim and get some dunks there. And how about that one-handed flush? That was huge. Now a three on the other end. Rebounded by Hop and fouled by Winnie, but he'll head to the stripe for two.
You can see that size, John. Rebound over two defenders, able to draw the contact, just using that big frame down low to get rebounds.
And we still have not really seen any of Ethan Kaiser here in the second quarter for Metamora. Again, he picked up 2 fouls in the first. Jake Stewart has 2 fouls for Washington. He is in the game. And Patterson also has 2 for the hosts as well. Something to keep an eye on. Hop from the line is up and good. Lead is now 16. And second one hits the rim, so that is where the lead will stay. Washington, Brewer made Tucker fall down. Maybe got away with a little push off there. Maybe Tucker tried to sell it, who knows. Either way, no basket. And that one takes a 360 around the rim and in for Drew Tucker.
Drew Tucker, very vocal, getting his team fired up after each basket. You can tell he's fired up for this rival.
He's playing good. He's got 10 so far for Metamora, who leads by nearly 20. And White was looking for Vanderheit down low. And that pass was too far out of reach. (33-14) in Torrey Gymnasium. This Washington crowd is stunned by the Metamora Redbirds in the early going. Here's Jake Stewart finding Vanderheit around the perimeter. And Washington content to play with some pace, take their time a little bit. And White draws a foul. That will go on Luke Hop. Metamora fans aren't quite so sure about that one.
Got to try to cut into this lead a little bit if you're Washington. Not a team you want to be down double figures to at halftime. But John, the way it's going right now, Metamora using a lot of that momentum to continue to score on their end.
The biggest thing I think, John, for Metamora right now, and this is something that Danny Greaves said to us, is, you know, they got to play with, they got to have their foot on the gas the entire game. I wouldn't say they've let up so far, and they're looking really good while doing so. Three in the corner from Zobrist is no good, although Hop gets the offensive board. He goes for the nice lay-in rather than the authoritative slam. The 2 points count the same, and the lead is 20 for Metamora. Washington, will they go to the 3-ball? Instead, White down low, no good. Luke Hop has been a brick wall in the post.
Not only his defense, but his rebounding off the bench.
Working now, and how about here's Drew Tucker down the lane. There is barely anybody home there for Washington. Their defense still trying to find some answers for the Metamora Redbirds. Stewart, deep three, barely hits the rim. And this one is just all Metamora, John.
Washington looking for that basket.
Oh, the nifty dish there from Vanderheit. Still in there by Walker, who gets lifted up ahead for Mason. Count that as 2 fast break points. Metamora, this team is so good in transition.
Yeah, they're clicking on all cylinders in the first half, John.
So during the Tournament of Champions as well. This is a team that likes to get out and run, They'll make some really good long passes as well. I know Caden Hartnett, the Metamora quarterback, is on the Redbirds basketball team as well. Maybe give him some passing tips. Chuck it deep. Here's Brewer finding the open lane. And that'll give Washington a much-needed bucket before the half. Now Mason back to Zobrist before the horn. No good. Hits the side iron. But Metamora out to a 22-point halftime lead. Something you just don't expect to see in this rivalry, John.
No, you don't, but Metamora, John, they have really found their rhythm, and they're clicking, and I think like we talked about, controlling the rebounds and getting in transition, that's what they're doing.
Certainly, and really they've been able to box out Washington and prevent them from getting a lot of second chances. They've got a couple here or there, but most of the time it seems like they haven't been able to convert on those second chance points.
Yeah, they just got to find something out of this halftime break, try to get something down low. And, John, where their strong suit is beyond the arc, they're not getting those looks. Metamora's defensive pressure is just continually turned up throughout this game. And it's going to have to be some adjustments that Washington has to make, and it really starts with trying to contain those rebounds.
The Redbird defense has tamed the Panthers up to this point. See what adjustments both coaches make in the halftime locker room. But for now, we'll take a quick break for our sponsors. Come back for more halftime coverage and analysis from Washington. Again, watching Clutch Sports IL and CIProud.com.
The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria. The Fox has become known for some of the best British and American pub fare around. And for you craft beer lovers, we have 25 ever-changing draft handles. Whether it's lagers, IPAs, stouts, or ciders, the Fox has something for everyone. Join us at the Fox Pub in North Peoria.
The great sounds of the Washington High School Panthers marching band here at halftime. You also saw a performance from the dance team as well. Obviously, two other great programs, part of the game day atmosphere here at Washington, which is always so great. But John, overall, his home court advantage has been taken away by Metamora.
Yeah, Metamora, you can tell coming out of this game really fired up, and they've used this first half as momentum going into the second half. What type of adjustments, that's where we left off, John, can Washington make? How can they get inside? How can they control that rebounding battle? Because Metamora, as Danny Grieve said, they haven't let their foot off the gas.
Certainly, and really a big catalyst for Metamora early on. We talked about Tyson Swanson in the open, but to me, Drew Tucker and Luke Hopp have been providing the biggest boost for the Redbirds so far.
Yeah, Luke Hopp off the bench, really controlling the rebounds, able to contain him and then get in transition. They found some looks to him down low as well. Even with Ethan Kaiser on the bench, they've turned to Drew Tucker, Tyler Mason, Matthew Zobrist, Tyson Swanson. So really a mix of Redbirds in here doing the scoring.
And for Washington, they've had a couple players dip their hand in the scoring jar. Jake Stewart and Jamari White, who had that incredible one-handed slam. That got Washington fired up, but other than that, and a couple of trips to the free throw line and a couple threes, that's really been it for Washington so far. So what do you think they have to do in the second half? Do they go more threes? Do they just try and get to the line as much as possible, or just what do you do?
Yeah, you really got to turn up the defensive pressure as first things first. It's a tall task to win the rebounding battle, a little bit more undersized than Metamora, but they got to fight. They showed some of that fight in that first quarter. But John, you got to do everything in your power to try to get open in those half-court sets and find your shot. Try to get to the basket, let Metamora foul, but they got to do something and do something quick.
They trail 39-17 here in the Mid-Illini's best rivalry. At least a lot of people would argue that. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people would say Metamora Washington is a place to be, regardless of the sport. And Metamora they can't be in a better place right now, leading 39-17. Take a quick word for our sponsors and come back with the second half not far away on ClutchSportsIL.com.
Do you see the world the way I do? I'm kind of an artist. I take random things around the house and make them into the most amazing sculptures.
Evan, do you know where all the spoons are?
At OSF Healthcare Children's Hospital of Illinois, they see the world the way I do. They put kids first with care designed just for me.
Here is Strong Law. We're always watching out for you. Every time you lace up your shoes, every shot you take, every drive to the basket, every practice, every game you play, we are here, waiting if you need us. The same effort that you put into your craft, we put into ours. So keep taking your best shot, and Strong Law will always take the best shot for you.
At Hines Roofing, we tell you what we're going to do, then we do it. Due to recent hailstorms in Washington, Illinois, you've likely received hail damage and timing is critical to make a claim. Call or text today for your free roof assessment. Honest, professional experts.
The Titanic, only at Michael's Italian Feast.
At Hines Roofing, we tell you what we're going to do, then we do it. Due to recent hailstorms in Washington, Illinois, you've likely received hail damage and timing is critical to make a claim. Call or text today for your free roof assessment. Honest, professional experts.
There's a lot of talk about big. Big corners, big dealers, big inventory, and big lots. At Bob Grimm Chevrolet Morton, we believe the biggest point is being missed: the buyer.
We never got any surprises. When they told us a price, that's what it was. That's why I kept coming back. We just always enjoyed the way they treated us. They truly do it the Bob Grimm way, which is they treat the customer like they want to be treated.
Visit GrimmChevy.com and drive away your new vehicle your way. That's the Bob Grimm way.
Today, Santa will finally know my name. I actually thought that went well.
It's gonna be a bright, bright, bright holiday.
The more the merrier.
You want to do the honors?
Oh, yes.
Oh. 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is the time for miracles.
It's a bright, bright holiday.
You dream it, we'll deliver it at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards. Your promotional goods delivered on time, every time, with a local trusted team here for you.
Stop in and see us at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
Welcome back to Washington. We're still at halftime here in Torrey Gymnasium. Alongside John Camosa, I'm Jonathan Michael, and it's been all Metamora so far. Redbirds lead 39-17. Got a balanced scoring effort all across the board, but John, that balanced scoring effort could really help them come the conference season in the Mid-Illini, where it's kind of like if you were to compare it to the football season. Obviously, a lot of people picked Pekin was the favorite, but there's still lots of other teams that are in the mix, as alongside Metamora as well. Washington certainly in there as well. But overall, it should be a great season in the Mid-Illini this year.
Yeah, really looking forward to the Mid-Illini Conference. Some teams that have really developed since last season. East Peoria with the addition of Justin Page, manual transfer over there. Jack Du Bois and Pekin looking really good as well. Morton undefeated still on the season. Canton. I think it's going to be a battle in the Mid-Illini.
Yeah, certainly, and you know the Mid-Illini is just really just kind of a dogfight every year. May sound like a broken record saying that, may sound obvious saying that, but there's really no other way to put it. But Metamora, though, is brought back so much from that state title run. It really was amazing what they were able to accomplish last season with so many people that were coming back. Lots of juniors and even the younger guys like Matthew Zobrist, who I believe was a freshman last year. Yeah, and he's back this year, as well as Tyler Mason has been a huge breakout candidate for Metamora as well. So it's just a very deep Metamora team that's going to really wreak some havoc this year, John.
I think you could say adding fuel to the fire, John. Metamora, state runner-up last year in Class 3A. Heartbreaking loss for them against Sacred Heart Griffin. That three-point shot just rattling around the rim to knock off the Redbirds. So you got to think that's somewhere, if not in the front, the back of their mind, and using that as motivation. They want to get back to that spot this season.
Certainly have the pieces to do so, and obviously winning a rivalry game is a great first step. John, I gotta say, this is one of the earliest meetings that I remember between these two teams. Obviously not far removed from the Tournament of Champions, where both these teams played here about 2 weeks ago. Metamora played in the National Classic, went up against some great competition like Winter Haven from Florida. That was a great team, that Winter Haven team, and Metamora hung right with them. They ended up having a good week. They beat Booker T. Washington. That was a huge game as well. And then for Washington, they went 2-2, beat Lincoln Park and Moss Point before losing to St. Pius and Coral Glades. But both these teams, common opponent, Lincoln Park, defeated both of them respectively. So again, this Washington team, they're down big right now, but it's a young team that will certainly have its fits possibly throughout the season, but certainly got to think that eventually, maybe come February, this team will be peaking at the right time.
Yeah, I think you can learn a lot from these games. You know, early on in Washington can find their identity against their rival Metamora, whereas Metamora is using this game as motivation. You know, anytime you could try to pull out a win against a rival going forward, helps you down the road. And John, it's one of those things, we still got 2 quarters left of basketball. Game's not over yet. Who wants it more in the second half?
Certainly. We'll take a quick word for our sponsor. Come back with the second half right around the corner here on Clutch Sports Media.
You dream it, we'll deliver it at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards. Your promotional goods delivered on time, every time, with a local trusted team here for you.
Stop in and see us at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
Way here in the second half here at Torrey Gymnasium, Ethan Kaiser wastes no time with a basket for Metamora, laying it up and in for the Redbirds, who have had their way in the paint.
And picking right where they left off in that first half. Quick basket for Ethan Kaiser.
Vanderhyde got doubled in the post and turned it over. And here come the Redbirds. What is Washington's answer on defense? They need to find one. Three from Mason, right in the face of Jake Stewart, and the onslaught is on.
Metamora has not slowed down one bit since tip-off.
Metamora leads by 27. John, I hate to speculate, but the way that Metamora is looking, we could see a running clock here tonight. That's something that I never think that I'd see tonight or in any Metamora and Washington rivalry.
And I think it's just credit to Metamora. Their defensive pressure has been phenomenal tonight. They know in a game like this, Washington's such a good three-point shooting team, they didn't want to give them an inch.
Vanderhyde wanted to go on the other end, and Kaiser flew in, missed it. Here's a three from Zobrist. Nothing but twine. I think they'll take that over the slam there from Kaiser.
Still counts as 2 points either way, or I should say 3 now. Exchange.
I was going to say that was a 3, and Brewer went up with it. Couldn't decide what he was doing. This Washington just looking a little out of sorts right now, at least in my opinion. But what a statement win this would be if Metamora is able to hang on. Kaiser, how about the ball movement? Swanson, a three is good. Metamora giving Washington a taste of their own medicine. They're the ones having a three-point show.
Yeah, just really patient possessions, finding the open man. Great passer from Kaiser to Swanson, able to knock it down.
Heat check almost from Kaiser. That one hit glass iron for being taken in by the Panthers. 50-19. Brewer chucks up a three and no good, and Mason prevents a second chance opportunity. Here's Zobrist in the corner. That's good. They just can't miss, John. Metamora, unbelievable.
And they're showing why they're up there as one of the best teams in the state, and space in that floor, and if they continue to get open looks, there'll be a lot of threes hit tonight for the Redbirds.
Zobrist is finding a shooting stroke. Mason as well. Drew Tucker having a good night. Kaiser's got 8. Swanson has 9. Every starter with at least 8 points for Metamora. Subs come in for Washington. Nice shot fake there from Jake Stewart down there in the post. Certainly, Washington has got a lead on Jake Stewart right now. I got to feel like his aggressive hands there going for the steal. Almost came away with it, but I feel like this has got to be where Jake Stewart's got to step up and at least get your guys to hang their head high.
Yeah, after that basket, you can see he tries to turn it up on the defensive end. He knows his team's got to force some turnovers, try to cut into this. He's really putting that pressure on Tyler Mason.
Metamora, if you ask them, probably hasn't seemed like they've had a lot of pressure as Kaiser scoots in the lane and gets 2. Stewart a 3. hits the rim. Looked like it, thought it went in for a second. And now here's Zobrist. It's wide open. He's hanging around near half court and just could have made that one in his sleep.
Metamora just getting those rebounds, pushing the tempo. And John, you mentioned a running clock, and certainly could be what we see tonight if Washington doesn't get some baskets to fall.
And you obviously don't want a running clock for a variety of reasons. But obviously one of them is, you get potentially more time for your guys to, get in there and work something out. As Brewer, acrobatic shot is no good. He's looked off tonight. Here's Kaiser spinning down the lane, no good. Offensive board, rejected there by Javon White. Here's Zobrist. That one misses. And Stewart finds White in the corner for a three. That one no good. That foul will go on Washington as Shelton checks back in for Bernie Winnie on the Panthers.
And I think that's where we've really seen that play out tonight, John, is that size from Metamora, really using that to their advantage, controlling all the rebounds.
Student section's chirping back and forth. Here's Zobrist, meanwhile. Layup is no good, and Javon White hit the deck. May have been in some pain there for a second. He gets up just fine. And the possession arrow will favor Washington. Looks like the Washington student section is saying, let's play football.
Washington 44-22 winner over Metamora this season
right.
in football.
That was a great game back in week 3. 2 huge blocked punts that the Panthers had. Carter Prina came up huge in that one. How about the shot fake there from Stewart? Still can't get the shot off. Brewer with Kaiser in his face. He'll shoot the floater. It's no good. And now here comes Kaiser the other way. And looks like Stewart impeded his progress, and that will be his third foul of the game. Just the team's third, but you mentioned it, John, the clock is running. That's something that we don't see very often on Clutch Sports Media, much less in Metamora and Washington. I will say, though, John, I got to credit Metamora, though, for all this. Washington certainly has not played bad. Obviously, a couple shots that they maybe wish that they would have gone down, but when it comes down to it, I think Metamora has just played extremely well when it comes to ball movement. They obviously, shots were just falling a little bit more often, but they've done a great job also on the glass as well. We talked about it. It said it had to be a key for the game, and so far they've succeeded.
Yeah, they have, and even as we end the third quarter here in a bit, John, Metamora's still putting that defensive pressure on the Panthers. They haven't let up at all.
Referee talking to the scorers table right now. Still trying to figure out what's going on. Maybe an issue with the clock or the score. Either way, still not sure. So our camera operator, Charlie Shermerhorn, will give us a little look down there, see what's going on. I'll have a conversation with Eric, excuse me, Eric Shermerhorn, the head coach of Washington. So he's trying to sort things out. Herman coughed there. I want to put that out there for the viewers at home. Just full discretion, I have been dealing with a little bit of a cough here during the broadcast tonight, so apologies if I've sounded a little quiet or haven't been talking quite as much. Been dealing with that a little bit, but still finding a way, as they say. And everything seems to be just fine, and it will be a Washington ball.
Washington going to hold for the last shot, looks like, John. See if they can find that basket.
Looks like they will. It's just a matter of who will take it. And that foul there, I think that was on number 4. I believe that's Avery Grebner of Metamora. That will be his first foul. There's 2 seconds left to go. They need to get a shot off quick. Brewer a 3. Nice arc to it. It looks good. But no good. And Metamora still holds a big lead in Washington, and it looks like they are on their way to a huge statement win over their arch rivals. Take a quick break here on Clutch Sports Media. Come back with fourth quarter action right after the break.
You dream it, we'll deliver it at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards. Your promotional goods delivered on time, every time, with a local trusted team here for you.
Stop in and see us at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
Do you see the world the way I do? My mom says I play too many video games, but what she doesn't know is that I'm actually making more money than she is as a YouTuber.
Lacey, do you know why there's a new car in the driveway with a bow on it?
You're welcome, Mom. At OSF Healthcare Children's Hospital of Illinois, they see the world the way I do. They put kids first, with care designed just for me.
Washington, Illinois, home crowd starting to file out already. As the fourth quarter about ready to get underway here, Jonathan Michael alongside John Camosa, and it has been all Metamora in pretty much every facet of the game. Washington started out the game nice from behind the arc, a couple threes early on, and it was a 13-9 ball game at one point in the first half, or first quarter, I should say. But Metamora had a great start to the second quarter. That's when they really started to get things going. They just start hitting a bunch of threes, and before you know it, good ball movement as well, and that's how you get a 38-point lead. As Grebner drives the lane, no good. Now Brewer the other way for Washington, gives it to Javon White, no good. And Washington struggling from behind the arc after making 3 early on.
Metamora, like you said, John, they've really just turned it on tonight. It's going to be a big victory for Metamora.
They've defended really well as their Landon Shelton takes away the pass there for Washington. But they've defended really well, I got to say. And then on times where Washington's been able to get an open shot in some instances, like behind the arc, for example, a lot of times they haven't been able to drain it. So even when they maybe get by with maybe a missed defensive assignment or something like that, Washington hasn't been able to make them pay. His first free throw is no good. Andre Lewis at the line there for Washington, the brother of Drew Lewis, now playing basketball at Minnesota State Mankato. Lots of college players in this Washington team, like Isaac Mapson, Braden Vanderheit. I saw Isaac Mapson. He's here in the house at Torrey Gymnasium. taking in his former team. Playing for the Parkland Cobras, junior college down near Champaign. Three in the corner there is no good. Also, Tyler Bass playing at Loris as well for Washington, so.
Some old alumni in the house to support their hometown team.
No word on if we see Alec Peters or not, though. Three in the corner from Grebner is no good. Offensive board. That one's put back up and in. That was, I believe that was Briar Cremians for Metamora with the offensive board and finish. Indeed it was, and it looks like we'll be seeing lots of subs the rest of the way. Luke Hopp, though, out there for Metamora. He didn't start this game. And Cremians goes in, draws the foul. Clock continues to run here. And Metamora will open up their Mid-Illini Conference schedule with a big, big win. That one's certainly one that obviously you got to circle them all on your calendar, but this one feels good to have. And it certainly makes, a really good season, Mid-Illini Conference title potentially that much easier when you win on the road against good teams like Washington.
Yeah, I think any time you can beat your rival, not only beat them, John, but put up a big amount of points on them in a lopsided game, you would think that there's a lot of momentum going forward in the Mid-Illini schedule.
Try and see who Metamora plays coming up after this. Cremines went 1 of 2 from the line. Shot up and good, up and no good, rather, for Washington.
Just a scoring drought from the Panthers here, and I think they just want to see one of those go in here, John, close this game out.
You definitely get that feeling, John. Obviously, they're obviously kind of shooting everything or any decent look that they can find. That was Caden Hartnett, number 11, screaming in for the layup. No good. That's one thing I noticed. He's wearing Zach Schroeder's old 11, Caden Hartnett is. How about that? Schroeder, obviously, he's playing college ball now, too, over at Wabash College in Indiana. And Washington still can't get one to go. Can they get even just one to fall? That'd certainly feel good. How the defense, though, there from Nick Walker around the perimeter.
Metamora, even with their backups in, they just keep playing that great defense, which they've had all game.
John, one thing I wanted to ask was, as that one is good for Washington, that was, again, I'm trying to find the name there. That was C.J. Duncan, the sophomore, get one to go for Washington. And a block there from DeAndre Jackson. But, going back to Washington's defensive approach tonight, which was to play man-to-man against Metamora, obviously that kind of gasses out your guys. You think that was a factor at all tonight?
Yeah, definitely a factor. And, I think Metamora, just that hot start that they had, John, knocking down those open threes, controlling the rebounds, it's paid off for them tonight.
Balanced scoring also benefited the Redbirds as well. Don't have official numbers on every player, but all we know is that every starter scored at least 8 points between Matthew Zobrist, Tyler Mason, Ethan Kaiser, Tyson Swanson, Drew Tucker. But everybody played a part for Metamora, who will advance to 1-0 in Mid-Illini Conference play. Boy, you certainly think that they're going to enjoy this one back down Route 116 tonight.
Definitely.
Corey's and Germantown Grill might be packed to the gills.
You would think so.
That one up and good. That was Pierce Martin for Washington with the bucket. Certainly good to see the guys who maybe don't get as much playing time getting in there and being able to make some contributions, but time is waning in this one. Just under 10 seconds left to go. Washington will get a chance for a final shot. Actually, they'll get two chances again, but that will be it. Clock hits 0. And a massive rivalry victory. A type of that has been unseen in years for Metamora in this rivalry for either squad. 62-25, pure domination from Metamora in Washington tonight. And they win big in enemy territory.
Yeah, really big win for Metamora going forth in their season, and I think they wanted to come out and make a statement. They certainly did that tonight, John.
What a game it was for the Redbirds. We just won it by 37. Had to do my math right there, but overall, John, who were some of the most impressive performers in your mind tonight for Metamora?
I think Drew Tucker. He really got this team fired up. You could see after every basket, so excited, pumped up to get this victory, and a lot of players we could talk about on Metamora's side, John. That whole starting five was impressive.
Certainly, John, and not really a lot else to say. We'll come back with more analysis and coverage and wrap things up. We'll take a quick word for our sponsors who made tonight's broadcast possible.
Happy holidays from Mackinac Valley Vineyard.
You dream it, we'll deliver it at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards. Your promotional goods delivered on time, every time, with a local trusted team here for you.
Stop in and see us at Academy of Screen Printing and Awards.
The Titanic, only at Michael's Italian Feast.
Jonathan Michael and John Camosa back in with you here in Washington, is wrapping things up as fans start to file out. Students taking pictures, cheerleaders taking pictures as well on the court. Happy sights for Metamora, not so much for the Washington Panthers. It's rare to see them lose by this margin in their own gym. Doesn't happen very often. You know, obviously Metamora just was a buzzsaw tonight. Not much you can do about it, you know, in those instances. Sometimes you just run into the better team. But overall, I think, John, what do you think of that is the main takeaway for Washington, both in terms of, you know, what they could have done better tonight, and certainly it's something that they want to do, something that they want to do going forward?
I think for Metamora after Saturday's game, you know, you could see points in the second half where they got into some foul trouble. they started to take their foot off the gas, as Danny Greaves would say, and tonight they didn't. I think they took everything to heart. They learned some little mistakes from that game in a win over Lincoln Park, brought it full force in here tonight, able to secure that big victory over Washington. And if you're Washington, you can't get discouraged by a loss like this. A lot of season left. You got to fix some things and try to see what team you can come out of after a loss like this.
Certainly, we'll definitely be monitoring both of these teams as they go through their Mid-Illini Conference schedule. Up next for Metamora, they will host Morton and Canton respectively. And Washington, they will host Limestone and East Peoria in their next 2 games. So certainly some ones to keep an eye on, but that will about wrap it up from Washington tonight. Metamora wins by an unforeseen margin, a huge win over their conference rivals, 62-25. And this Redbirds team looking to get back to state. These performances will certainly help their cause. For our great crew tonight that helped us out in our production, Charlie Schermerhorn along with Teddy Ball, our camera operators, and our producer and director Joshua Messenger, Gavin Russell, back in our East Peoria studios, clipping up some highlights and plays on social media, and my broadcast partner, John Camosa. I'm Jonathan Michaels saying goodbye from Washington, Metamora. Big winners here. Have a good night and enjoy the rest of your weeks, folks. We'll talk to you next time.